Good day. Former United States President Donald Trump has unveiled a new initiative aimed at combating drug cartels across the Americas. Dubbed the Shield of the Americas, this alliance seeks to forge a united front, but its formation reveals significant geopolitical tensions and raises questions about its true objectives. At a summit held 2 weeks ago at his golf club in Florida, Trump gathered 12 presidents around him. Among them were El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele, Argentina's President Javier Milei, and leaders from Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Panama, and Chile. President Trump positioned himself as the orchestrator of a new security policy for the American continent, stating, quote, "We must recognize that the epicenter of cartel violence lies in Mexico, where cartels fuel and orchestrate much of the bloodshed and chaos in this hemisphere," unquote. However, the alliance has a glaring omission. Mexico was not invited. Neither were Colombia nor Brazil. Experts, including Ingrid Wehr from the Heinrich Böll Stiftung, point out that these three nations are indispensable for any serious initiative against transnational organized crime. She questions the viability of a security concept that excludes such central players. All three countries already engage in close cooperation with the United States. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum highlights increasing drug seizures, and a recent military operation backed by United States intelligence tracked and fatally wounded Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho, a leader of the powerful Jalisco Nueva Generación cartel. The killing of El Mencho, reported on February 23, 2026, has left a power vacuum in Mexico, potentially leading to internal struggles or a bloody war among rival cartels. Colombia and Brazil also work closely with United States investigators to combat international smuggling routes. The crucial difference between these excluded nations and members like Panama, Chile, or Argentina lies in their political leadership. Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil are currently led by left-wing governments that emphasize their sovereignty in relation to the United States. Political scientist Abelardo Rodriguez Sumano from the University Iberoamericana in Mexico City explains that the new alliance is designed to bring states closer to Washington politically. He suggests its aim is to either subjugate or pressure nations that might deviate from the United States strategy. This strategy, according to Sumano, involves a renewed militarization to fight organized crime, closely tied to a new national security strategy for the United States, positioning it as the unchallenged leading power of the continents. In this regard, Trump harks back to the Monroe Doctrine of 1823, which declared Latin America a United States sphere of influence. The fight against drug cartels, Sumano argues, now provides the framework for such intervention, as seen in early January in Venezuela, where it served as justification for a military intervention despite that country's relatively minor role in international drug trafficking. From this perspective, it appears Trump's focus is less on fighting organized crime and more on controlling petroleum, gold, Caribbean waters, and other natural resources. But Trump's allies also face a dilemma. Many of the invited nations are deeply intertwined economically with China. Washington now expects them to reduce these relationships. Ingrid Wehr describes this as a geopolitical sandwich situation for right-wing leaders like José Antonio Cast in Chile or Javier Milei in Argentina. They wish to strengthen their alliance with Trump without undermining their economic interests. Many of these Shield of the Americas members maintain intensive trade and investment relations with China and want to preserve them. For example, Chile supplies a significant portion of its copper to China. Argentina benefits from Chinese investments in infrastructure, energy, and agriculture, often through China's Belt and Road Initiative, with China securing access to Argentina's lithium reserves. Costa Rica, too, has seen China finance major construction projects and transportation routes. Simultaneously, these states are aligning strongly with Washington. Costa Rica, on a recent Wednesday, announced the closure of its embassy in Cuba. This move by the right-wing government of outgoing President Rodrigo Chavez follows Ecuador's example, which in early March expelled the Cuban ambassador, accusing him of interfering in its internal affairs. Both governments are closely allied with the Trump administration. While the alliance partners navigate their geopolitical sandwich situation, the excluded Latin American states face different challenges. Mexico, a direct neighbor of the United States, faces growing pressure on two fronts. Economically, negotiations for a new free trade agreement with the United States began this week. A clear leverage point for Trump, given that about 80% of Mexico's exports go to the United States. Security-wise, Mexico grapples with powerful drug cartels. Rodriguez Sumano critically notes that the United States itself bears significant responsibility for the cartel's power, as a substantial portion of the weapons are smuggled from the United States into Mexico. He states, quote, "The United States' strategy to combat cross-border organized crime is one-sided. The United States portrays itself as a victim instead of addressing the root causes of the problem," unquote. If the Trump administration were to curb the illegal flow of weapons into Mexico and reduce drug demand within the United States, it would hold a key to solving the problem itself. The Shield of the Americas alliance thus emerges not just as an anti-drug initiative, but as a complex geopolitical maneuver with far-reaching implications for stability, sovereignty, and economic alignments across the American continents. Thank you. What's your take on Trump's Shield of Americas, power play, and missing partners? Share your view in the comments. Do you think this will matter in the next news cycle? This video was generated using artificial intelligence.